Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi, you're very welcome. This is Reading the Past and I'm Dr. Cat. As you may notice, I'm joined by a lovely guest. This is Manasi, who, if you watched our video about our trip to Belfast, we were working on HistorySpeak together and had a wonderful time. And we are planning on having a meeting about the furthering of HistorySpeak, so do watch this space for more information. But I've managed to convince you to come and talk about your particular relationship with history. Specifically, that is coming from where your background is. So perhaps you can tell everybody what your master's was on.
Sure. So my background is in exhibition design and I did my master's in narrative environments.
So, with that being said, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be looking at the exhibition space as a narrative environment and how that has affected your relationship with history. So, let's go. So how do you, as an exhibition designer, how do you feel that you relate to history, perhaps in a way that's different to me?
I mean, okay, I'll start with how I relate to history as a person because my relationship with history started quite late actually.
Mm-hmm.
It started only when I came to London to do my master's. Even though I trained as an exhibition designer, I was more interested in the design aspect of it. And then when I came to London, it started with basically realizing that there's this colonial amnesia in the UK, which I was really surprised by. You know, I didn't know it happened. Like
we forgot that we did that. Yeah.
Like no one knows. And then I'm like, am I overreacting? Like, why is my identity so defined by this? Whereas the people who I'm interacting with right now, they don't even like to talk about it, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, when I did, so that's when I started understanding why I thought the way I thought, or I wanted to investigate why I thought the way I thought, and, you know, where this was coming from. And then I realized this connection of history and identity. And after that, I realized that maybe it's not just history, because if I look at it, logically, my personal history is only started from the day I was born, you know, and I would connect to my parents, my grandparents, and their lives. And yes, my grandparents were alive when India got its freedom, and they did go on some marches and protests and everything. So you know, I'm connected to those aspects of the history, but the longer period of time, I'm not quite sure. So then I'm like, then why does it matter so much? And then I realized that okay, it's because I've been told it matters. You know, I've been told that some other Indian who lived so many years ago, his greatness actually connects to me. And a lot of people are told that about their culture, and people who are proud of their culture. Where does that pride come from, you know?
Yeah.
Because some major person in history has done something great, and then you think that it's greatness by association or something. I don't know.
Well, I think that there's a lot of work that's been done on the kind of the inheritance, and that can be the inheritance of trauma, but also, of course,
of pride,
the inheritance of that sort of pride of the fight. And we are. It was interesting to me that you said that your personal history started the day you were born. I fundamentally disagree with that, because you are a tapestry that has been knitted together with the historical narratives of everybody who came before you, not just your family, not just your village, but the entire earth. Like you are as much a product, as far as I'm concerned, you're as much a product of something that happened 600 years ago as you are of something that happened 60 years ago.
What I meant to say was like my consciously, like what if I would say that I make my own identity, you know, then and my identity is only defined by the people I connect with or the events that happen to me, then from the time I was born. But I remember you telling me about inheritance of trauma.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the inheritance of trauma, I'm not necessarily saying that it's like a genetic thing, but I do think that essentially kind of the sins or the sufferings of the father or mother, for that matter, do impact the way they interact with and raise a child. And we don't know so much about how the brain develops. Even in utero, like how much is a fetus, for example, aware of what's happening outside? I do think that we are so shaped by the histories that have come before us that, yes, of course, we shape our own identities, but I do think that it's unrealistic to believe that those identities aren't impacted by our wider history. So when it comes to you shaping a narrative environment to tell a history story, what sort of things are you going to be thinking about? What's your kind of checklist to ensure that you're ethically, factually, interestingly presenting this?
When we talk about ethics, I think one good thing that we have with working with museums and objects is that the object exists. So it is evidence of something. And you are giving your best researched answer to what it is. You know?
Yeah.
And the other thing that we do is that you consider the audience, which is really important, you know, that who are we talking to? And who is talking, that becomes important.
Yes.
You know?
Okay.
So it's like the minute we kind of like see the exhibition as a dynamic between people, it starts answering a lot of questions. Now, you do fall into some problems with this as well, because I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about this big debate that happened when on Twitter about Ask the Curator with one of the curators of a national museum.
Okay.
Where one of the objects, I think from South India, which typically have very long names, especially when they're written in Latin, in English, they were like, why didn't you write the original South Indian name or the Sanskrit name for it? Why did you write the English? Why did you make up an English name and write it instead?
Made up an English name?
Well, see, now again, that's where the Indian bias comes in. We won't consider it made up because we'll just say, oh, it's another name.
Okay.
Because a thing can have more names than one.
Of course.
Yeah.
I suppose the question is, when did this name spring into being? Was it for the exhibition, or is it some 500 years old?
Well, it could be. I mean, it could have been the name that came with the object when it came, you know. So, but why wouldn't they identify it with its Indian name? Now, if they'd given a colonial argument for it, I think it would have gone down better than the argument that they did give, which was to say that, oh, we have a character restriction on the number of characters we can have in our title. So, and obviously that poor curator paid dearly on Twitter for it.
I take it that went down, as we say, like a cup of cold sick.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because if they'd said that, okay, you know, it was framed, so then that's where we talk about the larger framing of the exhibition. Now, as a designer, as a viewer, as someone who's involved, you know, with this field, if it was framed in the context of the person who collected these objects, and we knew, for example, why that name was what they said it was, you know, it would have been okay.
I assume
because it's informing you about another history. It's talking about the history of the collection. It's talking about the history of the person who collected it.
Yeah.
You know?
And I assume it was named that for colonial reasons.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't say the original word.
And if they acknowledge that and present it like that, it may, you know, it's fine. But then when you say that in this day and age that you have a character restriction, and I'm laughing because there was a point of time before digital technology where when you were making an exhibition, and I had some professors in my undergrad who have actually constructed exhibitions like this, used to get rub-on letters, like typesets with rub-on letters. So, because if you wanted to
temporary tattoos for paper.
Yes, temporary tattoos for paper. Wow. And these guys were so skilled because the spacing between each letter is very important. Something that we don't even think about because it happens automatically on our computers. These guys used to have to visually rub these on one at a time to make it. So yeah, if
who has I did not know that. Who has the patience?
It's called love.
It's amazing that there was ever an exhibition in the world, if that was the level of work. That's incredible.
There's an exhibition in Nehru Centre in Bombay called, I think, Discovery of India. Yeah. Which was made by this, the professor I'm talking about right now, he worked on it as well. It's still on today. I think it's a handmade exhibition that's
literally handmade.
It's handmade. And you can't tell because it's basically rub-on typography and things like that. Something that you just send off to a vinyl cutting place. It'll come in one sheet. You just paste it and remove it. And even now we think, oh my God, that's so much work.
They were doing letter by letter.
Yeah. Oh, I can show you. I have some of those rub-on letters as well. It's called letra set.
Letra set.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you still get the letra set in like hobby shops and stuff, you know?
Well, I might share it to if you get a picture, I'll share it to my Instagram and put that up. That's incredible.
Yeah. So at that point of time, if they said, "Oh yeah, the title letters are too long and they don't fit," I would have been like, "Yeah, okay."
I mean,
today, no.
I do think that there's an avoidance to talk about or to kind of just baldly say, well, it's like that because of colonialism.
Exactly.
And I think that there's perhaps, I'd be quite interested, and let us know in the comment section if you'd be interested, if we could get together, because I'm very aware of the book that came out a couple of years ago, Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race.
Yeah.
And these conversations are really hard. And I find them uncomfortable as a cis, heteronormative white woman. However, I do think that these are conversations that we need to have.
Yeah.
And I do think that these are conversations that white people tend to try to avoid. And I don't know why, because in the conversations that I've been privileged to have with you and people from Museum Detox and lots of my friends, openly, honestly owning these difficult histories that we share from very different sides, has been one of the most incredibly enriching experiences of my life. And I haven't found myself being judged or made uncomfortable or being blamed. I have found myself in the very fortunate position that people are prepared to sit down, take me by the hand and educate me when that wasn't their job, but they did it. Yeah, I'm passionate about museums, I'm passionate about heritage, but what I'm particularly passionate about is ensuring that everybody's voice is the voice that is behind what is presented to us in museums and on documentaries. And that doesn't just help to ensure that the narrative is as diverse as it can be. It also then inspires people from diverse backgrounds to come to museums and to study history in school and to go to university and study those humanities subjects, because there is a place where their personal, familial history can become a national narrative. And when that isn't allowed to happen, we are shutting people out. We may not intend to, but we are.
Yeah, we are accountable, and there might be 1 or 2 academics working on an exhibition, but there might be 30 more who are working on that topic.
Yeah.
Who will have something to say about it. So, especially that's the tricky thing with exhibitions or with any sort of like storytelling when we do it with the past, is that you have to make sure that your point of view is clear, that no one thinks that you're trying to talk about each and everything that ever happened about this one particular topic, that you are addressing it from a certain point of view towards a certain goal.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, and this is probably my personal thing, by the end of it, the content, you leave the content. You're not going to remember the dates, the time, the place, the facts. You're going to remember something else. You're going to remember what you learned. What's your takeaway, what do you walk away with? It's not always the personal point of view that affects how a designer creates. Design it's been around for a considerable amount of time to say that we have evolved a bag of tricks almost.
Yeah.
To make people read something in a certain way.
Yeah.
And of course, it is codified in culture, etc., and the associations you make, and there will be differences in the ways. But by and large, especially in this post-industrial era, where as long as the demographic of your audience is more or less the same, it doesn't matter that you're English and I'm Indian and we're looking at the same thing. We might just actually have the same experience of it, because our lives are actually quite similar.
Yeah. And the designer has taken you by the hand and led you through the history.
And he's designing for us.
Yeah.
He's designing for people who have social media, who probably have Alexa in their house, who are educated to a certain degree, who eat at certain restaurants,
Yeah.
So, and they know these things, They know what a serif font versus a sans serif font will make you feel about it.
Yeah.
So the designer might actually not even agree with the point of view, but if he wants to sell it, he is able to, which is what advertising basically is,
Yeah.
Design is really powerful.
Yeah, thank you so much for talking to us about it. I really hope you enjoyed yourself here. I hope you enjoyed watching us be together again. Hopefully we're going to have plenty more time to talk as we move on to doing more and more History Speak. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a like. Please also subscribe to the channel so you can see lots more content, and click the bell icon so you know when I'm next going to upload. I hope you're going to have a great day whatever you're doing, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. And when you're next on the channel, I'm sure you look forward to seeing them all as well.
Yes.
But for now, do take care. Bye-bye for now. Bye.